Good evening, everybody. Today in front of me, I have Frank King, and he's suicide prevention speaker and a trainer, was a writer for The Tonight Show for over 20 years. He's fought a lifetime battle with a major depression disorder and about chronic suicide prevention as well. So, he turned his a long, dark journey into the soul, into the 6th TEDx Talk, and sharing his life-saving insight on the mental health awareness with associations, corporation, and colleges. Good evening, Frank. How are you?
I'm good.
It's such an honor to have you on my show.
Yeah, I'm delighted to be here. I think I had to postpone once because I had something else come up last minute, like a speech or a virtual speech or something. Anyway, thank you for being patient.
Yes, you have shared with me some, your story about TEDx, and you've been on a TEDx stage 6 times, 6 very successful times, and something happened on the 6 times when you were on a stage. Do you mind sharing with us? Because this is very special, because I was also on the TEDx, and if something like that would have happened to me, it would be devastation to me. So let us know what had happened, please.
I got speech number 6 coming up on June 7th. Speech number 5, it was TEDx Durango, Colorado. And it was my speech, Mental Health and the Orgasm, Treat Your Depression Single-Handedly. It was my funniest and the only one for which I got a standing ovation. And for some strange reason, all the speeches for TEDx have to go up to the big TED, and they have to approve. They can approve it. They can approve it with an editorial note, or they can disapprove it. And for whatever reason, they disapproved. And I said, look, put an editorial note on it, to edit it any way you like. I mean, just take out what you don't like, but they would never tell me what was wrong with it, which seems unfair because, I could perhaps do it again and leave out or change whatever they thought was over the top or offensive. But they wouldn't. And so I'm actually pitching it again to a couple of other TEDx events. I'll probably change the title so they won't know, won't stand out like that. But yeah, I pitched it on Sunday to a TEDx in Colorado, another TEDx in Colorado, and I'll be pitching it to a TEDx at a university in Canada later this week. So I made the audition round. So, it's like step 2. Hopefully I'll make it to step 3. So, because it's just too good a talk not to see the light of day. And yes, I was devastated. I was crushed. I mean, all the time I spent, all the money I spent to get there and get home, hours and hours and hours. And yeah, it's I didn't even know that could happen. But now what I'm going to do, just between you and me and all your listeners, is I'm going to have somebody in the audience with an iPhone recording it sort of surreptitiously. In case that happens again, I'll have a copy, and then I'm gonna send it out as the TEDx that they did not want to air. It's too over the top. No.
Absolutely. I bet that you will come back even stronger this time, Frank, and you're gonna show them all what you've got. And I hope that there will be again the stand-up ovation just for you, because I know what the message that you carry is the over the top. It's absolutely spectacular and so beneficial to all of us right now. And it's very, very relevant too. But what people don't know, I want us to share with you, because you have been also, doing some stand-up comedy. So, and can you, Mary, and share us how that, paved the way for you to become the prevention specialist for the mental health?
Yeah, I started comedy in 4th grade, told my first joke. Students laughed, teacher was hysterical. I thought, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. In 12th grade, I did the talent show. Nobody had ever done stand-up before, and I won. And I told my mother I was going to be a stand-up comedian, and she said, you're going to college first. I don't care if you're a goat herder when you get done. You're going to be a goat herder with a degree. So I went to UNC Chapel Hill, got a degree, and then moved to San Diego to work for an insurance company, just by chance, in San Diego, a branch of the Comedy Store, the world-famous Comedy Store. I went to open mic night, and that was the beginning of the end of my insurance job, because I knew in that first 5 minutes, that's where I belonged. And so a year later, I went on the road full-time professionally, invited my girlfriend to come with me thinking she would say no, but she said yes. So we were on the road together 2,629 nights in a row, 7 years.
Wow.
Change. Yeah, and worked with Dennis Miller and Jeff Foxworthy and Ron White, Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell and Adam Sandler and Kevin James, back when they were just comics. And then did a little radio when that came to an end. And after that, began doing what they call the rubber chicken circuit, which is conferences, conventions, doing stand-up after dinner, after lunch, just good, clean corporate comedy. And then the recession hit, and that dropped off 80%. We filed bankruptcy. That's when I learned what the barrel of my gun tasted like. And when speaking came back, the meeting planner said, Frank, we love you. We can't pay you that kind of money just to be funny. You need to teach our audience something. And just between you and me, I was always jealous of people who could make a living and a difference. I could never figure out how I could use my comedy to make a difference. And when I was told that they couldn't book me just to do comedy, I had to figure out what I had to teach people. And I realized that given my family history of mental illness and my history and my close call with suicide, if I took some training in suicide prevention, I could keynote on that. And what I didn't know was that having a man on stage revealing things that personal and emotional is very powerful. It's being vulnerable, and it's very attractive. And what happens is when I start the conversation, it gives other people permission to give voice to their feelings and experiences without recrimination. People tell me when I come in, client often says to me, Frank, we just brought you in here to start the conversation on suicide, because I discovered that even though one person in the US dies by suicide every 9 minutes, hardly anybody talks about it unless you bring it up. And then almost everybody has a story about themselves, a loved one, a college roommate, whatever. So I didn't realize that there was a market for someone who's not a clinician, who is male, who is willing to bare his soul on stage, get a little choked up. And I've been doing that since 2014.
Wow. Okay. I am dying to know, what was the first joke that you told to your students and teachers on the first grade?
Yeah, that's
if you remember, or paraphrase it or something.
I remember it very well.
Oh my God, please.
Yeah, my entire family is very nearsighted. It's called, the technical term is myopia, myopic or myopia. I wrote a joke years later that I believe that my entire family was descended from the people who lived on the island of Myopia, which was conquered over and over because they never saw the enemy coming.
Oh my God.
But in the classroom, what happened is I couldn't see the board. So I had my eyes tested, and sure enough, terribly nearsighted. This is early 60s. There were no fashion frames. Although the frames from back then, the Ray-Bans, black plastic sort of, they now are very popular. But back then, that was all guys had to choose from, was these black, clunky, and girls had cat eye glasses in several colors. But guys, that was it. And I hated them. I was vain then, I'm vain now. That's why I wear contacts. And my teacher knew that I couldn't see the board. So she thought the big problem was that I was worried when I put them on, everybody make fun of me. 4 eyes. So she had a good idea, she thought. She brought me to the front of the classroom, had me turn away from the students, put on my glasses. And what she wanted me to do was turn around and face the students. That way everybody saw them all at the same time. Let's pull off the Band-Aid fast. Everybody get their whatever out of them, and then we move on. So when I turned back to the class wearing my glasses, she said to me, see, you look intelligent. And of course, the students are going nuts. They're laughing. And so I said to her, yes, that would explain all the laughter. At which point she became she was trying to choke back laughing. She excused herself to go to the teacher's lounge. I saw her years later. Mrs. Dark was her name. And I saw her in the grocery store. She goes, Frank, you know why I left the room that morning? I said, no, Ms. Dark, I have no idea. She goes, because I was afraid I would laugh in your face and just break your heart. And so I ran down to the teacher's lounge. You're not going to believe what that little king boy said. She said, because it's the funniest thing any child ever said to me before or since. So that was my first joke. And that's when I decided I'm going to be a comedian. And then 12th grade, when I did the talent show, I thought, okay. And then, but I ended up marrying my high school and college sweetheart. She wanted me to sell insurance. That was the first job I got. But when I hit the Comedy Store stage, that was the end of my insurance career and my first marriage, by the way. She did not want to be married to a comedian, which I understand. It's no day at the beach. I wouldn't want to be married to me either. So
yeah, I'm glad that you bring everything into the humor in your life. But I know there was sometimes people are hiding behind the laughter. What was something like pivot moment in your life, Frank, that made you maybe hide behind the laughter? Have you ever used your laughter as your medicine in your life?
No, not really. People ask me, did the depression come first and then the humor to cover? No, I was born funny. It's in one of my TEDx talks. I said, yeah, I was born funny. People say to me, were you born funny? Oh yeah. An amusing thing happened on the way down the birth canal. But no, I was funny first. And I wasn't depressed until I got to college and my girlfriend was going to a college a great distance away. I mean, I loved high school. I would have stayed an extra year if they'd let me. I don't remember really being depressed and suicidal until a couple of years into the first marriage when I realized I'd married the wrong person. She'd married the wrong person. She's a wonderful woman, but we didn't belong together. I was selling insurance, which is a great business, but I hated it. And I wasn't going to the Comedy Store to open mic night, which I knew is where I belonged. And that's when I realized that I was suicidal and that if I didn't change something and soon, I was going to kill myself. So the second thought is very empowering. Well, I could divorce my wife, quit my job, try comedy. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I can always kill myself. That's why my fourth TEDx talk is called Suicide, the Secret of My Success, because that's what got me into comedy, was the fact that if I hadn't done it, I was going to kill myself. So what do you have to lose?
Wow. This is thank you so much for sharing such, deep side of your life. And we really appreciate this, Frank. But, there will be lots of viewers who will be watching you, and they would probably will not have a chance to maybe be, in the audience when you will be speaking and sharing your TEDx speech. So what is the one message that you would like to share with our audience that you will give them empowerment, some kind of tools to survive and maybe some hope?
Well, here's the thing. The good news is 8 out of 10 people who are suicidal are ambivalent. 9 out of 10 who are suicidal give hints that they're going to end their lives in the 7 days leading up to the attempt, which tells me the vast majority of people want somebody to notice something and interrupt. So if you have a friend who has trouble getting up in the morning, but rallies in the afternoon, if they eat too much or can't eat, sleep too much or can't sleep, or if they're letting their personal hygiene go, that's a big red flag. They're depressed. Now, how do you know they're suicidal? They are gathering the means, pills or buying a firearm. They are getting their affairs in order, giving away prized possessions because they want to make sure they go to the people they want them to go to when they're gone. They talk about death and dying or Google death and dying, or it appears as a theme in their artwork, their music, their writing. See, the thing is, people say, he never gave any hints. He never gave any clues. We had no idea he was depressed and suicidal. Well, now that I've told you those things, you may recognize the signs of depression in someone you know and love, or you may recognize those signs of thoughts of suicide in somebody you care about. And so know that 8 out of 10 of those people and 9 out of 10 of those people want you to step up and say something. See something, say something. It's an uncomfortable conversation, but it needs to be had if you notice any of those signs with people that you care about.
Thank you so much, Frank. In this note, I want to just finish up our conversation with you. And I want to encourage everybody, when you see something, say something. It was Frank King with us. And we wanted to say you a good night, everybody, and God bless you.